Hello all, welcome to day 31 of our Red Letter Challenge with Zach Zender. You know, we're in the midst of the week on giving, and each day I feel like the challenges get a little bit more thorough, a little bit more of a search of our heart on things that we care about. And so far, things have been about our excess, right? We're giving out of what we have extra of, and we give for various and sundry reasons, but it's coming out of our excess. Today's a little different. Today, Matthew 23, verse 23 is the verse that we're focusing on, and it says, "Do not neglect the tithe." Now, what is the tithe? Tithing is a practice that is from the Old Testament and has continued on through today, that God has asked for 10% of that which we have. And for us, that equates to money. Now, the reason why it becomes more difficult when we talk about money is because, if we're really being honest, oftentimes money is an idol for us. My clothes could be, but they might not be. I have extra, I can give it away. My food could be, but it might not be. I mean, the Bible certainly points to that sometimes, talks about their God is their belly, for example. So there's the possibility that if we're hungry, food can be a sort of idol. But usually in America, we have extra of that. We can give it away. But our money, and that's different. Our money is something that we really get attached to. We care a lot about. And so when we talk about the tithe, we need to recognize what God's talking about there, what He's asking for. 10% of what you earn is your tithe. So until you get to 10%, you're not tithing. Less than 10%, well, that's an offering. More than 10%, also an offering. But 10% is a tithe. So just to make it simple, if you have $100, $10, that's your tithe. If you have $1,000, $100 is your tithe. 1/10 of how much you have, right? So it's fairly simple to figure out. But what's interesting is that it can be difficult, more difficult, for people to give their money than it is for them to give the extra of what they have, their clothes or those sorts of things. And as we reflect on that, we have to ask a genuine question about God if we genuinely believe that His salvation comes through Christ and it has changed our lives. And that is, if God can have control of so many corners of our lives, can He have control of our pocketbook? So the challenge at the end of this day, the way that we put shoe leather onto this reality is, for the next 6 months, the challenge is, give a tithe to your church. Now, some of you may say, I don't make much money. But that's not really what it's about. It's about that 10%. So if you make $5 a week in allowance at home, or, we should adjust for inflation because that would be accurate when I was a kid. But if you make $20 a week at home for an allowance, can you spare the $2? And if you make $200 a week at your job, can you spare the $20? So remember that the goal is to do that for 6 months. And I pray that as you do that, you remember who you are and whose you are, and that it blesses you. Recognize that in that giving, once you get into that pattern, giving more becomes easier.